Greetings, I'm Michael Kahn, author, journalist, activist, and most of all, revolutionist. I basically want to talk today about not conforming to an evil establishment. You've all been told about the American dream. Well, basically, that's a lie. You're told to go to college, get a car, getting deep in debt with your college loans, your mortgage, and your car debt. And then you have to work for your boss and do what he tells you to: poison, misinform, cage, destroying every which way. Now, how can I say this about our wonderful nation? Here in America, we are deceived into thinking that we have freedoms and a righteous democracy and a good nation. In truth, they do that so that we'll enlist into the military to destroy other nations for the purpose of basically of colonization and making the rich man even richer, giving him more power and more power to the United States in the real American kingdom, that empire that it is. In addition, they've enslaved the people into deep debt, making them beholden to the very rich. The borrower is slave to the lender. It's a Bible quote, and it's very true. But basically, also understand the United States, according to John Perkins, who called himself an economic hitman, the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund basically have given loans to third world nations, supposedly to help them build the infrastructures. No, it was to put them deep in debt they could never repay. The infrastructures were never finished or done correctly and completely, and the people brought into deep poverty to the United States and world economic into the world, the IMF, the World Bank. They are not there to help other nations. They're there to enslave them. Our military is not to defend us or for freedoms or democracies. Further than no, it is to put evil dictators that will follow the economic whims and desires of the rich people who run this world, and especially our nation. Who is in charge? The people in charge on the lower level are people like Bezos and Gates and Klaus Schwab. They're the faces. World Economic Forum, the WHO, the United Nations. But the real ones in charge are 13 families, especially Rothschild, who owns the central bank of every nation, printing up all currencies at the cost of paper and ink and selling them at face value. And then also Rockefeller, who owned Standard Oil. Now it's made into basically Vanguard and BlackRock. He also works with Rothschild. He's a very wealthy man. And the Queen of England, who owns over 150 entire real estate in the entire world, collecting over $360 million a day in interest alone, never mind rent. Very rich indeed and very powerful too. They have bought up almost everybody on the planet. And they now plan a world population goal of 500 million people, which is currently 7.8 billion. But they basically want to have a world fascist, totalitarian, technocratic police state. And they plan to kill us off, with medical cures, we'll say. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And also with World War, which is Ukraine is not used for any kind of democratic reason. It is there to initiate World War. We also will have there are FEMA camps all across this nation with guillotines in them. They are not there to protect anybody or to help you in any way. The government is not there to help you. Some people lower down think they're helping you, and they may be helping a few people temporarily. But when the government or a rich man says he's there to help you, run away fast. Now, the education system developed by John Rockefeller, David Rockefeller's grandfather. John Rockefeller developed the college education system. Using money, he created them to teach the way he had them teach. He also created the allopathic medical system, the medical system as we know it today. Poison and destruction, addiction. Okay. Now, what else? The justice system, well, put it this way. All races have an equal percentage of people doing drugs, about equal. However, 3 times as many blacks are arrested for drugs as whites. So maybe there's a little systemic racism. Put it this way further. It's called slavery. Yeah, we have a history of slavery in this country, and other nations do also. But it still exists today, but they won't tell you. In several states, many states, in fact, there is the 3-strike law, where they basically put you in prison for life or for a long time for your third conviction, even if it's like for stealing a pack of gum. These are also in privatized prison states. And they basically have you work there, forced labor with no pay, and other states with little pay. I don't live in one of those states. I live in New Jersey. I was incarcerated for 6 months here in New Jersey at one point, and I was in solitary confinement for 6 months. And on my unit was somebody who worked. He cleaned the halls, cleaned the showers, cleaned the rooms, pass out the food, put out the food. He did the laundry, helped with the commissary. You get a picture. He worked 7 days a week, 12 to 13 hours a day, every day, and he earned $1 a day. This is slavery, folks. And in some states, in 7 states, there is forced labor and there is no pay. This is done deliberately. They know what they're doing. These are private prisons. They're owned by very rich people who give out contracts to do the work in the slave system. They make good profits from that. Okay. And now think about this. In the education system, I'm going to give you a quote from my book, Angry, Loud, and Clear Truth. Here we go. Furthermore, a formal education is almost always necessary to acquire materialistic pleasantries, and that schooling, holding the key to advancement, passes along the doctrines and concepts of those in power, who employ those who have been thus indoctrinated to further their agenda, and the only method to repay the debt incurred by having the opportunity, the college loan, to be thus indoctrinated. Later, you'll see how the education system has furthered the people's obedience and inability to think analytically, as well as having misinformed the public. Now, let me go on. Here's a quote from author Edward Herman. The national security state is an instrument of class warfare organized and designed to permit an elite, local and national and multinational, to operate without any restraint from democratic processes. While you see that this was managed to bypass what appears and passes to be democratic legislation, the key word here is class warfare. The powers have, without question, manipulated the planet using money as a tool. And what better way to keep the people in line than to hold power through currency? Okay, so you get the idea. Our military destroys other nations, use the IMF and the World Bank to loan them the loans, and they cannot repay them, and their infrastructure is never developed that they took the loans out for, and the countries are ruined and enslaved to the World Bank, IMF, and basically to the Rome-American Empire, United States. And our military enlists to enforce our democracy, to protect the people? No, they're to destroy other nations. 9/11 was not done by Arabs. It was a demolition job with every politician in D.C. complicit. They designed it to happen. I prove it in my book, Angry, Loud, and Clear Truth. So basically, go to college and you are given information, mostly misinformation. You're taught to memorize, not to challenge, not to seek truth, but to do as told and obey. Memorize information. And how do they test if you know what you're talking about? They give you true and false questions, multiple choice. You have a real good grasp on the information, how it is used. No, you don't. You have been propagandized. You've been misinformed, misled, and misguided. And now you think you're smarter than the uneducated people. Okay. You're real smart. Go mislead some more people, why don't you, with the information you were misguided into getting. So, okay. I show in my books how the allopathic medical system developed by Rockefeller, made by Rockefeller, is terrible. It's poisonous. It's addictive. It makes money for the pharmaceuticals owned by Rothschild, Rockefeller, etc. You get the picture. The education system developed by Rockefeller, misguiding the people, misleading them. Okay, the whole system is set for the very rich. How do you get to be rich? By basically following along with the agenda of the real rulers. They own every politician. No Democrat or Republican politician gets any significant position without proving loyalty to the globalist and Vatican agenda. There is no hope in politics. The Bush family owns the ballot machines and the CIA runs them. There is no solution in politics. It will never happen. So how do you get to make change? If voting, and if the people cannot vote what they want into power, the only other alternative is to do what the Declaration of Independence suggests. That basically you revolt, you get a gun and revolt. That is what the founding fathers did. And that's what the people may have to do in this nation also. I'm not saying may, it is a definite. If we want to live even, we will have to get guns because the police and FEMA and Homeland Security and Department of Defense will be used to herd people into FEMA camps where there are guillotines. Do you get the picture? You see how, and what has the Roman Empire done? Roman Empire included England, Spain, and France. And the Roman Empire was huge at the time. Then it dissolved hundreds of years ago, but England, Spain, and France survived. And what they do? They colonized and conquered, committed genocide in North America, South America, Africa, India, China, Australia, everywhere. Made slavery, genocide, oppressive rule. Mm-hmm. That's a Roman Empire, the Vatican, the Romans, the Europeans. Do not imitate them. The whole system has been set by very rich people from those peoples to enslave. And remember, they had peasants, they had serfs, they had fiefdoms. These people love to lord over others. Do not conform to their ways. Here's a good truth from the Bible. Do not conform to wicked earthly worldly systems, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind to what is right and good and all that. Go the straight and narrow path. Do not conform to what colleges teach you, or the television with the CIA, which also dominates the news media. Establishment news media is dominated by the CIA. Do not conform to their evil. Do not fall into their ways of earning riches, living in a big house with a new car. Debt, and then poisoning, misleading, cheating, stealing, destroying people for the rich man to make you have a satisfactory way of life and to pay off your debts that you made through college and through mortgage and through this. These are all ways to put you in debt to make sure you comply and conform and do what you're told to. You see this. You are basically compelled to obey by having these debts. And then you are a slave to their addictions of cigarettes or alcohol. And the church in the Vatican rules a lot of this. The churches opiate the people, as Marx said. He was right. I'm not a communist or Marxist, but I do see that the churches opiate the people. And they tell you to enlist and to thank veterans. And you have to listen to your pastor who to marry, what books to read, what movies to watch, what is true, good, and right, because your pastor knows. I suppose you got to be a sheep, a dumb, stupid sheep, to believe these pastors really are out there for your benefit. Do you know a poor pastor? Of course not. And you don't get rich by being a nonconformist, being a truth or a righteous person seeking out the truth. Yeah. The Vatican rules, and the pastors, every last one is in with it. The Vatican rules over every Christian denomination in secrecy. And the Vatican rules over America too, and over the secret intelligence also, and over Freemasonry, and over secret intelligence. You get the pen over bankers. You get the picture. So do not conform. Do not go for that college education, and do not need all the rich, bright. And don't go after bright, shiny, glittery stuff. Big house, new car. You understand. If you work for minimum wage, it is no shame. It is no shame being on welfare, as long as you don't serve the establishment evils. Go work a good labor job, good skilled job. You can learn in technical school, whatever, or self-teach yourself. Be self-educated. I myself, I read the Bible 20 hours a week when I was preparing Bible studies when I was a Christian. Then I saw what Christianity really was about. I debunked the Bible, left the faith, put down my Bible, and started studying other things. I've read since that time, since I quit Christianity about 8 years ago. 7 years ago. I've read about 150 books, seen thousands and thousands of documentaries. I watch about a dozen a day. And what do I do with that? I write books. I spread the knowledge through a newsletter, which I give out for free. I am fortunate because I've gone through, learned the hard way. I've learned on the streets. I've learned from poverty, from hard work, from imprisonments in they have libraries. And I've read books. I have been beat up 30 times the past 8 years. I learned courage that way. These are not bad things to live in poverty because easy times create weak people. Hard times create strong people. And strong people create good times. I'm not going to create easy times. I'm strong, and past strong people create easy times. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do my very best to create wholesome and worthwhile times, not easy ones. Times that people have the benefit, instead of entertainment, instead they have the benefit of having achievements, of being accomplished, of working a better humanity, not to be entertained. A whole different concept, because being entertained and thrilled and sensationalized has eaten the people up. They want constant thrills and entertainment and sweet sugary food and inebriation, and to have their be affirmed and have their backs patted. I'm not going to do that. I'll lead you into wholesome, good, righteous, and proper way of life. In my book, Angry, Loud, and Clear Truth, in the conclusion, I have a blueprint for an ideal civilization. Self-sustaining agricultural communities without the technology, as per Amish, but much different in many ways. Yeah, basically artificial insemination, get rid of the physical sex. That's going to close the gateway to hell. As well as also not having the Bible anymore or religion, but instead following a code of ethics to live by, as in the conclusion of The Untold Nature of Christianity, which debunks the Bible thoroughly using many hundreds of scriptures and common sense, without twisting or bending the scriptures or calisthenics of scriptural dots. No, I make it very direct, using hundreds and hundreds of scriptures, proving my points. Do not conform to the evil worldly ways. That includes religion. They tell you everybody has to have a religion or be an atheist. I acknowledge there's a God in existence. Satan, Jehovah, Allah, Jesus, Satan, all the same. And the Jesus that you worship, that walked the earth 2,000 years ago, never existed. The New Testament was written and composed and fabricated by Josephus, a Hebrew Pharisee who did it for the Roman Empire. He became a Roman citizen and then was treasonous to his own people. So understand, you've been deceived by the Roman Empire, and blacks should know. They see that Africa was colonized, how they were made slaves. Don't imitate the white establishment, the evil rich people that created this all, who destroyed their people, enslaved them, a genocide. Latin America do too. Arabs, you shouldn't want to imitate their ways, into their Christianity, into their worldly money making, into their want to be a boss and rule over others and have an easy life of leisure and no work and living off other people's work and making yourself rich, and that they congratulate themselves for that and think that's to be modeled and to be admired. Who admires a damn boss man, boss other people around and make money off of their work? How can you admire that? But people do. Everybody admires the rich man. They think that being poor is an insult or is a weakness. I wear my poverty like a badge of honor. And I work a 12, 13-hour day, but not for money, but for the people. And guess what? I love my life, and I look in a mirror pretty damn well. I like what I see. People, we need to learn independent thought, free thinking, ability to read and to challenge what you're taught and critically analyze what you're taught and cut out the falsehoods, cut through the bullshit, to debunk the false teachings, to not follow what everybody else is doing, to be a nonconformist, not a dead fish floating along the river, not a sheep being misheard or a lemming led by the Pied Piper to destruction. Sheep are led by wolves. They are dumb animals that don't think of their own. They are had to be led at what these so-called loving shepherds do. They fleece them. And then what do they do? The slaughterhouse. They have lamb chops. Shepherds don't love their sheep. They make a profit from them. They eat them up. People, wake up. Listen, you don't need to serve a God. You don't need to live in a big house with a new car. You need to do what is right for yourself and for humanity. To try to have some accomplishments. To have something to achieve. To help humanity. For a betterment society. A far greater purpose than making lots of money and be thrilled and sedated and entertained. Stand tall. Be your own man and woman. Not saying the same person. Be your own man or woman. Do what's right for humanity. And if you want to follow somebody, check their motivations. what they've done, how has it affected society? What is their character? And don't just go over a few years. Go over. I have 35 years serving humanity of selfless help, selfless hard work and dedication for humanity. Most of it unpaid. 45,000 hours unpaid servitude to the people, not to our boss man. And basically, a lifestyle, not of ease and luxury. Work hard, people. Edify yourself. Educate yourself. Read. Watch documentaries. Don't watch this fiction nonsense. Furthermore, eat correctly. Cut out the sugar and meat. Yes, meat. I know the globalists say they're going to cut out meat. That doesn't mean it's a bad idea. Eggs, they're destroying that too. But eggs are healthy, so is fish. But nuts are very nourishing, have a lot of protein. Organic food, non-GMO organic food, spring water. That's the best way to eat. And to have a strong mind and body. Exercise vigorously. Now I'm talking about until you cannot go any further. Every day. I eat very healthy organic foods on nuts, so eggs, and I have no sugar. I eat very healthy, but I also exercise 150 sit-ups, 150 squats, arm circles, push-ups, other exercises. And I do 150 sit-ups and squats in one set. How many 64-year-old men, that's how old I am, can do that and say that? Not many. Yeah, but a lot of blacks have been in prison. They do the exercises. They're strong like me. I learned that in prison too. My hard times developed me. And I basically, I'm not ashamed of it, and I'm not, because I wasn't really doing a criminal act. I said a few things, yeah, got me in jail for what I said, but it was never meant to be carried out. And I was also put up several times falsely. But you know something? I happen to love my life. And it's a product of my former experiences. The homelessness, the jail, it developed me. It was training for my mission ahead to save humanity and create a new civilization. So I do not regret any of it. And I thank the people who shaped me in doing these things, good and bad. And the bad as well as good worked out for the good. It was painful, but it was worth it. I have no regrets. And I thank you for doing what you did, all of you. Now, people, it is time to get ourselves straight, to not waste any time, to not go around seeking to be entertained or to make mischief, but to use our time diligently working for the times ahead, because they plan a world-fascist totalitarian police technocratic slave state of 500 million survivors by 2025. Look up the Georgia Guidestones. It is time to be your own man and woman, to educate yourself, to weaponize, and get ready to defend your lives and freedom. There are 1,000 or 800 to 1,000 FEMA camps, basic concentration camps, all across this nation. And Northcom and FEMA and Homeland Security and other forces will take you there, where you have 30,000 guillotines waiting for us. And yes, there are depopulation agents in the medical system. You know what I'm talking about. And in the world war starting in the Ukraine, being developed as we talk. And they have other ways. We have been lied to, poisoned, imprisoned, and will be more so, and it will only get worse. So get ready, brace yourselves, and get ready to defend yourself and strengthen up in mind and body. Those what exercise do? When you exercise, your red blood cells contain oxygen, and your heart pumping hard, breathing hard, fast, and the blood cells go throughout your body and strengthen the cells and renew them, especially the cells in your brain. And what does that do? It gives you clear, focused thinking and removes fogginess, also removes any depression. So this is a good exercise. In many ways, the exercise is very beneficial. Go for it. People, strengthen your mind, strengthen your body, and get ready for